Hey guys, what's going on? It's Twintuitive717. I am back with another video. I hope you guys are doing incredibly well as always. I wanted to come on and tap into the masculine energy a little bit, okay? Because the energy still feels pretty intense with the masculines, okay? A lot of attraction, a lot of chemistry with the divine feminine, wanting to express themselves as well. But I feel like many of them are having a lot of trouble doing that, and it primarily has to do with the reasons why they can't come forward, or it's like they feel so intensely for you, and I think that naturally they feel like you're going to want to know, okay, then what's stopping you? And some of the things that they may not want to some of the things they may not want to admit has a lot to do with wow, my throat feels really scratchy. Sorry guys. It might have something to do with, like, financial matters, or they want more stability in their life, okay? But the Ace of Wands is coming through, okay? I'll just show you guys the card. I've used the crystals to kind of cover up most of the images that are inappropriate here, but they're kind of lying in bed together. There's two images in the fire as well, representing the twin flame connection between the two. I've been talking a lot about, like, many of your masculines are having epiphanies that it's making them feel the connection a lot more deeply with you, okay? But this time around, what's different is that they see you as the Empress, and you're moving like the Empress, divine feminine, okay? Sorry for the background noise, guys. It's people in the hallway of my apartment. But you're moving like the Empress. I think too, like, many of your masculines, they feel so in love, okay? And it's triggering right now. It's like they're so fragile and sensitive, and that word keeps coming up for the masculine collective right now. And it's because they're feeling this Ace of Wands energy. It's like a new feeling for the divine feminine, and this new feeling comes from watching her in this Empress energy. But it's like you want to love her, but when she's in her Empress energy, it makes him a little bit nervous, okay? That's what I'm feeling for the masculine here. Okay, so it makes him a little bit nervous. Let's find out. You know what? I'll take it. Maybe it'll tell us a bit of a story. Okay, so we have the Sun card as a major arcana here. And the Sun card is masculine energy. So this tells me that, this reading, it's a confirmation that a lot of them are communicating more. They're coming forward. It may be after a long time of separation. It may be after a long time of you healing from the separation as well, divine feminine. Like, some of you may still be in that mind frame of, like, I don't want this, I'm moving on, I'm moving forward. But the universe keeps putting you two in each other's way, in front of each other. It's almost like the universe is trying to tell you guys, like, you can't run from each other. And I feel too, like, I'm getting a stubbornness from the Empress as well, where it's like you're being very stubborn to forgive your masculine and allow them in, even though they're bringing a lot of this passion towards you. Because look at the cards that we have, guys. With the Sun card, you have them making love. He's leaning in towards her, okay? And we do have an offer with the basket here, okay? It's like a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. And it gives me, like, fall vibes, okay? So it took time for them to prepare this offer for you is what I'm getting. It's like the feeling you get in fall, where it's like, oh gosh, we've waited so long for this beautiful, cozy feeling, and now we're going into winter, That's the feeling that I'm getting. It's like many of your masculines have waited so long to pour this love out, without any obstacles in the way. And maybe during the time as well that you guys were going through the obstacles. I'll tell you guys where I'm going with this. This was a message that was coming up earlier for me too when I was vacuuming, but I feel that many of you have gone through this whole twin flame experience or this twin flame journey, and it's like you meet your person, and like from the feminine's perspective, it's like you think about the past, or you may hold on to the past of like the hurt of not coming together, especially in the beginning of your connection. But what I'm seeing is like sometimes it goes over our heads, like okay, for example, the whole ghosting thing. Okay, there's a lot of us that are out there guilty in the community, and including me at one point before I had gone through my separation. You know, like I would accuse my masculine of ghosting and like not being consistent with communication, and all while I was married, you know, all while he was in a relationship with somebody else. And it's like, of course we're both gonna ghost each other. Of course he's gonna ghost. So I feel like it's a message for many of you, where it's like you might have been holding on to like just things that were out of your control, right? It's like if you're in a relationship and your masculine's in a relationship and you two are having this connection, even though it's a twin flame connection, and they're ghosting, it's like of course they're gonna ghost. They probably have their spouse pulling up on the driveway for goodness sakes, you know, and they have to like exit the conversation and like hide that second phone that they may have put away just for conversations with you, right? Like there's so much that goes on with twin flames, but I feel like it's hard sometimes to remember the obvious, you know? Sometimes we have to deal with the lessons at hand first. It's like you want a manifestation of your counterpart, then you would have to naturally go through the process of separating from your partner, for example. You would have to go through the process of expressing your feelings to them, for example, and seeing where that goes. You know, it's like many people will reach out for personal readings and things like that, and they have never connected with their twin, and they have so many strong feelings, and it's like their biggest question is like, I want to know how they feel about me. And you know, like a lot of the times, like I'll be honest with them and I'll say, you don't need a tarot reading for this. Why don't you just message them and ask them like the obvious? Why don't you just reach out? But oftentimes it's so hard for us to take that risk because we're anticipating the rejection before it already happens, right? So I feel like this is a message for, you know, those of you who are maybe in that stubborn energy. And sorry if I kind of went off, but I just remembered to remind those of you in situations with like third parties and things like that. It's like, don't accuse your person of ghosting. It's like, of course they're going to ghost, and you should expect them to if they're in another situation, okay? You should expect them to. And the bigger question is, if you're going to get triggered with them being in third-party situations, your biggest lesson is how do you exit that dynamic, and how do you look out for yourself first? But, you know, regardless of the past, many of your masculines are making their way back, and they're you know, this card I think has come out before where they really want to make this offer. And remember I talked about her position here where she's kind of leaning back. It's this kind of like stubborn energy where she's kind of turning away. She's really hesitating to accept this offer, accept connecting with your masculine because of past hurts. And it's going to come up in triggering if there's more healing work that needs to be done. Like you guys will find in conversation, everything goes great. One thing is said, it triggers the both of you. The ghosting happens. But again, with the Empress being here, and I've talked about it in previous readings as well, many of you are again not triggered by the ghosting because it's about the bigger picture and giving each other space. I feel like many people who are very caught up and very fascinated on like the ghosting and like why it happens, it's like chill and like give a person space, especially if you're not in a relationship with your masculine or your feminine. You got to give them space. You got to give them space to figure things out, especially if you're not in a relationship with them, okay? You guys haven't like agreed on like, you know, yeah, let's do this. Let's be in a relationship and expose it to the world. If you guys are doing things in secret, don't expect consistency. Like don't expect the ghosting not to happen. Like if you guys are in a situation where you can't come out to the world and say, hey, look, this is what we've got going on, but you want to apply like morals of like you shouldn't ghost and you should be consistent, it's like it's not going to happen if they're married and they have a family elsewhere, or it's not gonna, like, you got to give them space. They'll communicate when they communicate, type of thing, you know. And until you kind of stop and deal with the house cleaning, so to speak, like, quote unquote, that you've got to do, whether it's in your own life, you know, paying attention to the things that you need to take care of in order to manifest your twin flame. And it's the very obvious things that may go over our heads sometimes, you know. Otherwise, the connection is what it is, you know. And I've had experience with many of you in the community who have beautiful relationships with your twins, but you're still married and you still have families, and you still allow each other to live your lives and, like, go through the lessons with your partners for as long as that takes. And, like, I think that's amazing and that's beautiful, you know. But then there's the majority of us too who are kind of still stuck in those old patterns of, again, having a connection with our twin flame in secret, yet expecting all of this, like, consistency and, like, wanting them to stop the ghosting. And, like, it's not going to happen, right? Like, your husband's going to roll up on them, your wife's going to roll up on them, your wife's going to roll up on you both. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, who wants that, you know? And that's why it's very, very triggering when it comes to third party situations. The very obvious can go right over our heads, you know. Disconnect, disengage until you know, you really come together in, like, a truthful, authentic way. Okay, so, and you know, until you're ready for that, accept that the ghosting is natural and it'll happen. And the bigger picture is that you're able to come to a place of equilibrium where you're able to give another human being space to just be freaking human, right? To just be nervous and to lose their shit and to not know what they want to do. And because you've been human too, and you've been there too, right? I know I have, okay, and I've done a fair share of ghosting in my connection, which is why I have so much compassion for the masculine collective. That's why a lot of my readings focus in on the masculines. It's because just in my connection, you know, I've kind of been the one to really stop and say, wait a second, let's not get carried away here, and let's kind of do things, you know, step by step, you know. Sometimes that really does go over our heads, guys. You know, like, I was very guilty of, like, having conflict with my masculine about, like, you know, not texting back. And he's like, what do you expect? Like, you want me to text you? I don't know if your husband's gonna, like, see your phone. And, like, it was just all of these little things along the way that I was like, oh yeah oh yeah so yeah, I had to take care of the obvious, you know. And join me on Patreon, because I do talk about my personal story on there, for those of you who are just interested in that insight, to know that you're not alone. And, you know, I kind of was put on the journey to kind of go through the motions of going through all of that. And yeah, I should probably talk more about that. I heard YouTube is coming out with some podcasting, or, you know, they're maybe looking into it. So that'll be really interesting to do. And I would definitely love to share more about, you know, that whole journey of my husband finding out about my twin flame and me, and us going through our separation and getting different homes, and yeah, the whole shebang. But yeah, back to the reading, guys. You know, even with me sharing my experience, I just feel like this offer it's inevitable. Like, your twin flame will always make their way back to you. Like, you know, if it's really truly meant to be, certain things will happen in your connection that you guys really can't avoid. Okay, we do have a king here coming up as well, the King of Chalices, or the King of Cups. You know, a king showing up in the reading, especially the King of Cups, I feel is a beautiful sign paired with the Sun card that this is somebody who's ready to love you. But with the stubborn Empress, it's like, you know, I feel like now your masculine's waiting for that feeling within you to align. You know, and again, we have the Hermit card too as a major arcana coming up, and I feel like this does confirm that, again, like, don't be triggered by the ghosting. You know, in this particular deck, if you guys look at the Hermit card, there's a couple there in the background laying on the sheets. The candle is out here. For me, it's like, it reminds me of a divine masculine who looks at this candle and they wonder if, like, the flame is going to go out, or if it has gone out, because maybe like this stubborn energy. I don't know why I keep getting that word or why I keep picking up on that, but we have the Four of Cups here. That stubborn energy might be coming from this divine feminine who just really wants to be sure that third party situations are really coming to an end. Like there is going to be like a cutting of that connection, so to speak, with the sisters here in the card. We also have, I want to say a gold coin, okay? And I want to say that the kind of horseshoe there, okay, like it represents like magnetism between the two. For me, it represents like your masculines having the realization that they have to fight routine and habit, and I feel like their karmic situations it's starting to be recognized as just like a bad habit, like a routine. They're tempted to go back to those situations when they do get triggered by the divine feminine, because I feel like this Empress puts them to work. It really kind of puts them in their true divine masculine energy, which is, when you come close to her, yes, it's triggering, but at the same time, when it's good and the passion is there, they embody a lot of creative energy, especially with, the King of Cups here. Because the Cups energy itself is feminine energy, okay? And I feel like when your masculine experiences a dose of that when being around you, because feminine energy, it's not only just like a loving and nurturing, yes, it's those things, but it's also very like fiery, like very like fertile with ideas, and it gets the masculine excited because they want to implement those ideas. And part of those ideas, especially with the King of Cups coming through, like it might be like wanting like a happy home, like a comforting home with just his divine feminine by his side. He wants to serve you. He wants you to serve him. He wants to please you. He wants you to please him. I feel like this is a divine masculine that, they really know how to treat, their partner. Okay, like massages, rubbing your feet, being romantic, surprising you, love giving gifts, just spoiling you, finding out exactly what makes you tick, what it is you enjoy, what it is you love, and then really following through hard on that, okay? I'm hearing let me love you as well, because, she's submitting to him here, but I feel like the Empress is saying to the masculine, and even in this card here, she might be like sternly telling him, it's like, what, if you want to go back to that situation back there, you go right ahead, okay? Because I'm not going to submit to you while you're in like a third party. Like, why would I submit to that? I feel like the submission too, like many of your masculines want it. If you guys haven't checked out the divine masculine letters on there, check it out, because it's reminding me of that very animalistic nature. It's like many feminines want to submit, but this stubborn Empress, you'll only submit if it's like a strong masculine. And that's why I feel like a king is appearing here, because it's like that give and take, right? Submission is about give and take. If a masculine can show that a feminine can be vulnerable with him, then yes, she will submit. But the only reason she's submitting is because he's showing her that she can be vulnerable. Okay, so that means that she's like, okay, you know what, I can surrender, because the Empress is able to take care of herself. She can get up and walk away at any time. She doesn't need anything particularly from, this king or this emperor, whatever the dynamic is between you two. All it is that surrender of like passion and love and allowing someone in when it comes to that. Because I'm seeing too with this Empress, she might be celibate, and she might be able to get anybody she wants at any given moment. All it takes is a phone call, a text, and it's like bam. But does she really want that? No. She prefers to attract exactly what it is she wants. And I think in the Empress's mind, many of you may not know, but you are really like, making this masculine, like, just want to be everything that you desire and everything that you want. I'm feeling somebody who comes in very passionately, and it's like, they just really pour it all onto you, in terms of passion here. But yeah, this Four of Cups mixed in with this Empress here is telling me that, they're really going to have to be present and to show up for this divine feminine, because, she's also trying not to be, the reverse of the Empress, which is, a little bit demanding and maybe cold and maybe too kind of push and pull and doing her own fair share of ghosting and things like that, right? More in like that upright position where she is able to just be patient and attract and give space. Okay. Yeah, that's just kind of what I'm getting out of that, guys. Yeah, I don't know who this was for, but I hope this reading finds you all well. All right, you guys take care. I love you guys. I will catch you in tomorrow night's reading. Okay, bye guys.